Hello! In this video we're going to be finding the radius of a sphere. To do this, there's a very important skill that we need for today. You will need some kind of a calculator, and the calculator that you're going to need will have to be one that allows you to take the cube root of a number. This is the cube root as opposed to the square root. This number right here is called an index, and it tells you what root we're looking for. The number underneath is called a radicand. So let me give you a couple examples here. First example, finding the cube root of 8. What that means is what times itself 3 times gives you 8. What times itself 3 times gives you 8. So it's a number that times itself 3 times gives you 8. Well, that would be 2 times 2 times 2. So the cube root of 8 is actually 2. Let's go for the cube root of 27. What times itself 3 times gives you 27? Well, this would be 3 times 3 times 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. So the cube root of 27 is 3. I could go for the cube root of 64. That means what times itself 3 times gives me 64? Well, that would be 4 times 4 times 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 happens to be 64. So the cube root of 64 is 4. We'll do one last one here. The cube root of 125. What times itself 3 times gives you 125? Well, that's going to be 5 times 5 times 5. So the cube root of 125 is 5. Now you're going to have to take a look at the calculator that you are using and see if you can figure out how to punch that in. Those of you who are using our Texas Instruments calculator, the TI 30X is what I believe it is, you will notice that above the caret symbol, so you're going to have a caret symbol, and then above that you're going to have an X with a square root on it. You're going to have to hit that button. You might have to hit the second button first to access it. So if you wanted to type in, say, the cube root of 8, here's how you would have to type it in on the Texas Instruments calculator. You'd actually have to type the index of 3 first, then you'd have to hit this button, then you'd have to hit 8 and hit enter. So on the Texas Instruments, you have to hit the 3 first, then you have to hit this button, and you might have to look closely to find this button. Again, it's above the caret symbol. And then you have to hit your radicand. So it goes index, your cube root or your general root button, followed by your radicand. Okay, I'm going to show you the calculator that I found online. This is Desmos. I'll write that down here. And you can find it on the internet. Actually, they have some apps that you can put on your phone as well. They have a graphing calculator and they have a scientific calculator. I'm going to be using the scientific calculator today. So if you see the button is right here, I'm moving my hand on it right now. And when I hit that button on this calculator, you'll notice that it actually leaves a space for me to put the index. So I would put the 3 here, tap on that, and type in the 8, hit enter, and it gives me 2. So I'll do it again. I'll hit the root button, I have to put the index in, and then I have to click in here, and I have to get my 8. I'll do it again. I'm going to hit this general button, I have to put my index in, and then I'm going to put in, say, 27. Hit enter. So this is what I'd like you to do on your calculator right now. I'd like you to just figure out, and if you have to pause the video to do it, pause the video, try and figure out on whatever calculator that you're going to be using how to punch these in. You might have to read the directions on the calculator, and that's fine. A lot of calculators come with an instruction card. But I'd like you to take some of these examples that I've given you, and I'd like you to punch them in. So pause the video if you need to do that, and use these problems that I gave you as a test. When you're ready, hit play again, and we'll go through the rest of the lesson. Okay, so if you figured it out, let's go to our first problem. It says, to solve for the radius, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be using ESA to solve for our y value. You will first need to isolate the r to the third power and then take the cube root of both sides. So this is our new skill for today. So what is the radius of a sphere that has a volume of 288 pi inches to the third power? So I'm going to write down my formula for those of you who forgot. So volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. Now I'm going to take this volume and I'm going to put it in place of the v. So that's 288 pi is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. Now there's a couple ways you can do this if you want. I will tell you what I do is, since I see the pi on both sides, I like to just get rid of that right away. If you have the pi on both sides, just get rid of it. So now I have 288 is equal to 4/3 r cubed. Now the rest is just calculator work. So I'm actually going to try my calculator over here on the side. And I actually have a function over here that allows me to do a fraction. If you don't have that button, what you can do is you can go 288, because what I'm essentially going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 4/3. Right? So I'm going to go back over to my calculator. 288 divided by, now this is really important, I'm going to need parentheses around this. 4/3 is really 4 divided by 3. And I wish I could move that keyboard so you could see. And I'm going to hit enter. And that's going to give me 216. So that means r cubed is equal to 216. Now I need to take the cube root of both sides, because the opposite of cubing a number is the cube root. So be careful when you write this. I'm going to take the cube root of both sides. I have to put the 3 in there. Without the index of 3, it's technically the square root, so be very careful. So now I'm going to go back over to this over here, and I'm going to hit my cube root button. I have to put my index in, and then I'm going to put my 216 in. Whoops. Keeps bringing me up there. There we go. I just have to use the side arrow here. So 216. And I'm getting 6. So r is equal to 6, and I'll have to take a look at the units. It's inches. So your radius is 6 inches. Excellent. Let's try another one. What's the radius of a sphere with a volume of 2,304 pi centimeters cubed? So we're going to do volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. Let's put that volume right in place of the v here. So that's 2,304 pi is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. Now I see that there's a pi on both sides, so I think what I'm going to do is divide both sides by pi. Let's get that out of the way. And I have 2,304 is equal to 4/3 r cubed. Now, there are some other things that you could do if you want. If you had a really basic calculator, you could multiply both sides by 3. Those are going to cancel. And now you're going to have 4r cubed is equal to, so now I just have to multiply the 2,304 times 3, and I'm doing that on the side right now, so that's 6,912 is equal to 4r cubed. And now I can divide both sides by 4. And this is just another way to get rid of the fraction if you want. So I get 1,728 is now equal to r to the third power. So in the previous problem, I just divided both sides by 4/3. one step right here, 4/3, divided both sides by 4/3. Here I did it in 2 steps. First I multiplied both sides by 3 to get rid of the thirds. Then I divided both sides by 4. It's completely up to you what you decide to do. Now the opposite of cubing a number is the cube root. Therefore, and I'm going to go over to my calculator here. I'm going to hit this button. I'm going to do my 3, use my side arrow, and then the radicand is 1728. Hit enter, and I'm getting 12. So my answer here is 12. So 12, and these would be centimeters, is equal to your radius. Done. Let's try another one. Okay, what's the radius of a sphere with a volume of 2,144 and 66/100 yards cubed? So there's my volume. This one says round to the nearest tenths place, so I'm going to guess that this is going to be messy. And I notice it doesn't have a pi symbol in it, so we're definitely going to be using the calculator on this one. So 4/3 pi r cubed. Your radius is going to go here. So 2,144.66 is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. Now I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a decimal value for 4/3 pi. So I think I'll do 4 divided by 3. I'm going to hit enter. And now I'm going to multiply that, whoops, where did my 3 go? Okay, so I get 1.33, and now I'm going to leave that in the calculator and hit times pi. Oh, well, let me do that. So I have to do 4. Let me try this again here. Let me go back. I'm going to do parentheses here. 4 divided by 3. Close my parentheses. And I really don't like that keyboard there. And now I'm going to hit times pi. Alright, that's the number I was looking for. And the cool thing is it's the same every time, so you don't have to keep doing that every single time. So 4.1887, I'm going to take about 4 decimal places. And now the opposite of multiplying by 4.1887 is dividing by it. Alright, so I'm going to do 2,144 and 66/100, and I'm going to divide that by 4.1887. Hit enter. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting 512.0108 is equal to r to the 3rd power. Now I will tell you, the more you leave in the calculator, the more exact your answer will be. So if you don't do any rounding till the very end, you're going to be more exact. So I'm already off a little bit because I rounded right here, but it's okay. That's alright. Just keep in mind, the more you leave in the calculator, the better and more exact your answer is going to be. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, I'm going to hit my button, I'm going to hit the 3 side arrow, and I'm going to do 512.0108. Whoops, 08. And I am getting 8.00, so R is approximately, and I need to round to the nearest tenth, so that's going to be 8.0, and you do need to have the 0 there. If it asks you to round to the nearest tenths place, you need to have a digit in the tenths place. So there you go. All right, let's try another problem here. Uh-oh, what's the diameter? So this one's a little bit different. Diameter, if you remember, goes all the way across. Radius only goes halfway. So everything that we've been dealing with so far has just been a radius, and that goes halfway. But diameter goes all the way across. So just keep that in mind. When we're all done, we'll have to find the diameter. So we have the volume of 91.95 millimeters cubed. So volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. 91.95 is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in my calculator right here, and I'm going to get a value for the 4/3 pi, and that value, which we already have, is 4.1887. If you're not sure where I got the 4.1887, let me just show you real quick. All I did was I did parentheses 4 divided by 3. Get out of the parentheses here, and I did times pi. So I did 4/3 times pi. Okay? That's all I did to get that value. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 4.1887. Now, one of the things that you can do if you want to be more exact, I told you the more you leave in the calculator, the better off you'll be. Let me show you how to do that. So 91.95 divided by, and instead of typing out 4.1887, I'm going to use the ANS. That means your answer from the previous. And that is going to give me 21.95144. So 21.95144. You don't have to use that answer function. You may not have it on your calculator, but if you have it, it saves you from typing. Okay, so now the opposite of cubing r is the cube root. So I'm going to use that answer function again if you're okay. I'm going to hit the, whoops, I had forgotten to hit enter on that. So hit enter. Now I'm going to hit my cube root function, put in my index, hit my side arrow, and I'm going to do the answer function again. And hit enter. So I get r is approximately, and we have to round to the nearest tenth. So if I look at this round to the nearest tenth, I'm getting 2.8. However, it's asking for diameter. So to get the diameter, I'm going to have to multiply this by 2. So that means my diameter is actually equal to, or is about, I should say. I think I'll just go over here and just hit times 2. Oh, no, this one requires me to do answer. So answer times 2. Okay, and that looks like 5.6. So that's 5.6 millimeters. Great, we have one last question to do, just one more. You might recognize this. This is Spaceship Earth from Walt Disney World. And it has, let's see, it has a volume of 2,200,000 cubic feet. Just in case you didn't know that. So we're going to do V is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. I'm going to take that 2,200,000, put that in place of the V. The 4/3 pi r cubed. So 2,200,000 is equal to, I already have this decimal, 4.1887 r cubed. I'm going to divide both sides by that. Okay, I've already done that division, so I'll just show you what that looks like. That's going to be 525,222 is equal to r to the 3rd power. And now the opposite of squaring is going to be the square root. So I'm going to take the, not square root, excuse me, cube root. The opposite of cubing a number is cube root. I misspoke there. Alright, so I'm going to go over here and let's type in 525,222. Oops. Messed up again. I gotta get my, whoops. Type my index. Now I'm going to type my 525,222. Hit enter. I forgot a digit somewhere. Uh-oh. I was going to say, I know that's not the correct answer. So let me go back. Let me fix this. There we go. Sorry for the delay. So R is approximately 80.7. It did ask for diameter, so I'm going to have to double it to get the diameter. So diameter is equal to 161.4, and these would be feet. And there you go. Okay, so we learned quite a bit today. One of the biggest things was how to use our calculator with the cube root. I do have 8 practice problems for you to do. As always, I want you to start with doing all the odds. So you have 20 minutes working on the odds and check your work. If you finish the odds within that 20 minutes, I want you to go back and do the evens. So do all the odds, then go back and do the evens. You're going to work 20 minutes and 20 minutes total, and that includes checking your answers as well. Contact me if you have any questions, and good luck, you guys.